Bryan Levesque, GSHL Football.com. And he took in the Camas Papermakers after they went up to Seattle and took care of business last week. They start off the league schedule tonight against Mountain View, Brian, and pretty impressive performance.
Yeah, Camas looked pretty good tonight. Ended up getting the score, their final score 27-14 over Mountain View. Mountain View played a pretty tough game. Camas pretty much took it to them early on. After a couple of big punts there, Addison Owen, one of their better players, returned a punt down to the Mountain View 22. A couple plays later, Logan Grandy hit Kaika Gunderson on a 5-yard touchdown pass for a quick 7-0 lead. After that, Zach Marshall, who was our player of the week last week, who had the 3 touchdowns against Timberline, punched one in from 1 yard out to make it 13-0 after a mixed extra point. Mountain View punted again. Addison Owen again with a huge punt return down to the Mountain View 30, and this time Zach Marshall ran it in on the first play from the 30. It was called back for a holding, which put him at the 35. The very next play, he was in from 35, so I guess he got 5 extra yards on that run. Made it 20-0. It looked like Mountain View was just going to own him, and then all of a sudden, Camas was just going to own him. But Mountain View fought pretty hard. They got a good well-coached team there, and they ended up coming back. And P.J. Jones, one of the better running backs in the league, scored from 22 yards out to cut it to 27 at halftime. The Thunder got the ball and went on a started marching to start the second half. A 14-play drive, though, however, was ended when Jeremy Faulkner of Camas intercepted him down at the 29-yard line, and Camas just went 5 plays later again. Zach Marshall, this time from 22 yards out, for his 3rd touchdown of the game to go up 20-7, and then it's just kind of running out the clock. And looks like Mountain View's Sterling Reynolds ended up scoring a late touchdown with 22 seconds to go to make the final 27-14. But the story of the night, again, Zach Marshall, the junior running back from Camas, had 120 yards rushing and 3 more touchdowns. So the kid's got about 200 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns so far in the season for the 3rd-ranked Papermakers.
And I know that, Logan Grindy was supposed to be the man, a quarterback. How much did they expect, Zach Marshall kind of coming out of the woodwork here, or was he expected to be this dominant early?
No, it's kind of a surprise. I mean, they thought he would do all right. They actually moved that SNO who had the punt returns, who's a really strong safety. Camas is just loaded at wide receiver with Faulkner and Salamakia and Warner and all those guys. So they had moved Owen to tailback to just try to get him the ball. But one of the things that Camas has struggled with over the last couple of years is, being able to consistently run the ball. So they're trying to work on that running game and get it going. And, they found a diamond in the rough in Zach Marshall here so far.
No question. Certainly the Papermakers looking to get to a state championship game. Also, another 3A battle. Kelso and Columbia River, they're back in the at the same classification. This is a bit of a grudge match between these two schools.
Yeah, Kelso Columbia Rivers down here for the last 10 or 15 years has been one of the better matchups when they were both playing up at that 4A. They're both now playing 3A football again. Columbia River's been there for a while. Columbia River actually has an enrollment of a 2A school, but they have so many kids that play sports, they had to opt up for the C teams and stuff. But this was a good game, a defensive battle. Kelso ended up pulling it out 12-3 at Columbia River, so they get the early jump there. Didn't get who scored, but they threw a fake punt touchdown, and it was pretty much a defensive battle, but they got the early leg. I mean, basically, you don't want to say it, but for the most part, everybody's playing for second in behind Camas unless something dramatic happens. And so, you can't lose those games. Kelso, Columbia River, Mountain View are the 3 teams pegged to try to get that 2nd and 3rd spot to make it to the postseason. So Kelso with the big road win over Columbia River tonight. So Kelso and Camas now 1-0 in league. Columbia River and Mountain View fall to 0-1.
What else jumped off with some of these games? I'm looking at Mark Morris beating Heritage 24-21. How'd that happen?
Yeah, well, Mark Morris is a pretty solid 2A school, and Heritage, they're young. Heritage is pretty talented. I don't know. We all, of all the 3 of us that picked the games, we'd all picked Heritage to take that one out. But Jeremy Wolf had a big game for the Monarchs up there, and Heritage actually had the ball inside the 10-yard line in the closing seconds. Actually, on a 3rd down play, ended up not getting in, and the clock ran out before they could get out there to kick the tying field goal. So they ended up, they had a 21-18 lead late, and Mark Morris went down and scored. Wolf got that touchdown, and in the 4A, you got Union and Skyview up there who both came off of losses playing tough teams. And then Evergreen, Battleground, and Heritage, there's a significant drop-off with the 5 4A schools this year.
Now, you mentioned both Union and Skyview. They're actually in action tomorrow. Kind of preview those two games.
Yeah, Skyview is the second game. They're going to play Coeur d'Alene out of Idaho, who's a 5A school, which is the equivalent to our 4A, which is equivalent to your 6A. So just to make everything confusing, everybody's got different A things like you guys talk about. But Coeur d'Alene made it to the semifinals last year. They're one of the tough teams out of Idaho up there, and they're 2-0 on the year so far. They beat Moscow 42-19 and Moses Lake of Washington 31-0. Skyview coming off, of course, that loss to Sherwood last week. So it's going to be a tough game. Coeur d'Alene kind of runs a multi-set offense. They'll throw a bunch of stuff at you. They got some athletes. That one we all picked Skyview, but we don't know much about Coeur d'Alene, and we're all homers anyway. So it should be a good game. If you got nothing going on, I mean, there's a lot of college on, but at Kiggins Bowl 7:00, and then the Union game. Union looked really good playing Bellevue up there in Seattle. They ended up losing 20-6, but it was 7-6 at halftime. The thing with that was, Bellevue is Bellevue, and they run that wing tee kind of like Sherwood there. But Union touched the ball, had the ball 2 times in the second half, ran a total of 15 plays. And, Bellevue went on 2 long touchdown scoring drives, and then the third drive Bellevue had, they ran 2 plays and took a knee, and the game was over. So Union, they lost a lot of guys that graduated. They went to the finals 2 years ago, semifinals. Both of the last 2 years they've lost in the state championship game to Bellevue. They lost in the semifinals to Bellevue. They lost to Bellevue this way, so it's like, Bellevue, what are you going to do? But they got guys back. They got Zach Browning, he was one of the actual crucial members of the team 2 years ago as a sophomore to help lead them. Had a big touchdown run against Lakes in the semifinals a couple of years ago. TJ Boatwright is one of the better players. He's a big kid. He's 6'5", 200-plus pounder that's getting some looks at some Division I stuff. And Brandon Brody-Heim had 94 yards rushing up there against Union, and he was the third-string running back behind Blake Russell and Nathaniel Panoranda. We're both playing college football this year, and he's a monster, so he's going to do pretty good. Enumclaw had a win last week over Yelm. They beat him 40-14, but then Yelm got roughed up by a 2A Tumwater. It was a pretty good team, but they got roughed up tonight, so that should be a good game. It's at 1:00 at McKenzie Stadium. It's I have a hard time picking Union to go 0-2.
No question. And I know there's a lot of interest because that's our Bi-Mart Game of the Week next week when they come over here and take on Westview. That should be an interesting affair.
Yeah, that should be good. I mean, the thing with Union, that's actually – they only play 2 games away from McKenzie Stadium of their 9 games. 3 of their road games are against Evergreen, Heritage, and Mountain View, the other Evergreen School District team. So they were up in Seattle, and then they're at Westview, and then they got 6 more games at McKenzie Stadium. So they got some tough tests. They got, Union played Bellevue, Enumclaw, and Westview, and then it should come down to Skyview and Union Week 9 for the 4A championship this year. But they're both going to be battle tested. Skyview playing Sherwood and Coeur d'Alene, and Union playing Enumclaw, Westview, and Bellevue. So they're setting themselves up to have playoff competition type teams early on.
Shaping up to be a fun season in the Greater St. Helens League. You can go to GSHLFootball.com. You'll get all the scores. Plus, the great thing is video. I know you're great at getting that up pretty quickly. So usually sometime in the weekend, tomorrow, Sunday, you can see some of the top games as well. And as always, we appreciate it, Bryan, and we'll be talking with you next week.